Welcome. This is the Capital City Black Film Festival, and we are so excited that you are here because I don't know about you, but here we often are trying to get the secrets of the industry. We're also trying to make sure that our filmmakers and the individuals in this industry have an opportunity to get their stuff out in the universe. But this year we've done something a little bit different. And a little bit different means we must tackle one of the issues that's going on right now called mental health, and absolutely it's important for all of us to survive. Now, one of the things that we've done, we've partnered with the Deltas, specifically the Delta Research and Education Foundation, to make sure that this panel happens, because we have some superstars from the entertainment industry that are going to blow your mind with some of the information that they share with you regarding mental health. So I want you to prepare yourself and get ready. But first, you have to know, who is this guy smiling? You smile. Who is this guy smiling at you? My name is Dr. Joe, international speaker. I've had the luxury to work with so many top companies and organizations like Toyota, FedEx, UCLA, University of Michigan. I'm also the creator of the Strategic Goal Setting Mastermind. And also, because we're here to talk about it, I'm probably one of the only individuals that created something that sparks your individual healing. It's called healnow2021.com. Make sure you check that out. But more important, it's time for us to get right into this very important topic that we gotta get into with our superstar. So I'm getting ready to introduce our panelists. I'm so excited. So first, let me share with you, all right? We have three magnificent queens that's been in the industry for a while. They've had impact not only in the industry, but on culture, if you ask me. So the first person I want to make sure that you all know that's on this panel is Dr. Robin. We call her Dr. Robin. Some might call her Dr. Robin L. Smith, but we're going to call her Dr. Robin. She's known for being the in-house therapist, right, on the Oprah Winfrey Show. But if you look her up, you'll see she's so much more. She's an author, and she has so much impact in this world of health and wellness, specifically mental health and wellness. So please give it up for our first panelist. We'll call her Dr. Robin. Dr. Robin, how you doing?
I'm great and so happy to be here. Thank you, Dr. Joe, to have gathered with the tribe. So I'm fired up and ready to go.
We love that you're here. Thank you so much. Listen, our second panelist, if you are in the entertainment industry, you know her name. She's been around for, let me say it like this. Her impact has been around for so long. She was the director, writer, producer. I'll just say everything when it comes to the Showtime hit Soul Food, the Soul Food series, and it had the first Black cast. But more importantly, she's still out here doing her thing, having impact on the industry and so many other places. Please give it up for our second panelist, Miss Felicia Henderson. Give it up. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I feel honored to be here with these amazing queens whose work I love and admire, and I think know all of, have read the books, have watched the movies and the TV shows. So I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much. Now, our third panelist, listen, I'm so excited for all of our panelists, but our third panelist is so interesting to have this opportunity to sit here and hear from her. A lot of you all know her as Aunt Viv from the hit TV show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And what's even more fascinating is there was just a reunion that happened recently. And so we're so excited to have her here on this panel to share her wisdom, to share her thoughts, and just to bless us with her presence, because she's not just an actress, she's so much more. She's, I just found out, a beautiful mother because of what she did today. I'm not gonna give you all the details, but thank you so much. I felt your energy as a son. So thank you for that. But I gotta give it up for this woman. Please make some noise for Miss Daphne Maxwell Reed. How are you doing, Queen?
Oh, I'm doing grand today. It's a good day here. It's a good day.
I love it. I love it. Thank you all so much for being here with us. And we're going to jump right into this thing because, you know, one, I like to respect folks' time, but two, we need to hear from your voices right now. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Robin. I think it's important for us to get a perspective from someone who's been in this mental health industry for a while, and you've impacted not only in the entertainment industry, but also outside. So why is this mental health word, this health and wellness, why is all of this important right now?
You know, Dr. Joe, I think about when people are going to the dentist and you have a dental appointment and you say to someone, I've got to get off the phone because I have to get to the dentist. We have no shame about going to the dentist. We have profound shame about being human. And so a part of what we're really struggling with is to re-language that being human is a divine birthright. Being broken and whole are part of what come with the clothing of being a human being. And so particularly as African-American people, as Black and Brown people, we have carried so much trauma, so much embarrassment, so much trying to cover up what is broken. There's an Ethiopian proverb that says, he, and I always add she, but he who conceals his disease cannot expect to be cured. So part of what we're doing here when we think about artists and this amazing 8th anniversary of the Capitol, I mean, you know, city, I mean, this is major to have an 8th anniversary for creative people who are making films and documentaries. But how do we do that if something is sitting on our own soul? So if we are covering up, he who conceals his disease cannot expect to be cured. And so what I hope we're going to do today is begin to uncover with grace and with kindness and with humility that we all have come to the table resourceful, but also broken. And that being broken or injured, having someone hurt your feelings, you know, when we see someone and we say, how are you? I'm good. When do we hear someone say, I'm not doing so well? We hear, if you're in the church, I'm blessed and highly favored. That's okay. But we don't hear, I'm blessed, but my life is a mess right about now.
Right.
And so today for me, this forum is about taking the shame, the toxic twins of blame and shame, taking the shame away, particularly from us as Black people and as creative people, and beginning to walk in the light of what it means to be human.
Woo, that's now that was deep. That was deep, and we're starting strong. I mean, I hope you all know that you're listening to 3 Deltas, right? 3 members of Delta Sigma Theta. So I want to make sure you all know that we're bringing it. We're bringing it today. Thank you so much, Dr. Robin. I want to jump to you, Queen Daphne. I want to jump to you because you've been in this industry over 30 years, 40 years, I believe. And you were on an iconic show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I know for a fact, it wasn't easy, right? I don't know your whole story, but I know your journey was not easy in this industry. And as we think about mental health, I want you to speak to how you even got on Fresh Prince, but what came with that to even get an opportunity like that?
Well, I have been very, very blessed in this industry and have been in the right place at the right time and able to keep up with the opportunities that were presented to me. And I had done a bunch of series with my husband, Tim Reed, previous to the origination of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So we were a little pooped by the time it came time to audition for that show. Plus the fact that they approached me with the statement, we want you to go read for a sitcom with a rap star. I said, no, thank you. And I went off to Virginia where we had moved. And 3 years later, after I had seen the show and thought it was so cute, they called me and said, we'd like you to come in and audition for the role of Aunt Vivian. I didn't question why. I just said, I'll be there. And I arrived and spent 2.5 weeks, maybe 5 or 6 auditions, whittling down from 200 women to the one that they selected. And by the third audition, I got to work with James Avery. And we just clicked. We had the chemistry, I guess, that they were looking for. And I fell in love with the guy. So we kind of made the situation that they were looking for comfortable, I believe. And they hired me. And I was so grateful. I was so grateful to have that job because it was a time where it was not much going on where I was. And I really enjoy working. When I got there, they treated me like I had been there the whole time. So it was a smooth transition into the character. They very classy way that they introduced me by just having Jazzy Jeff come into the set and say, "Oh, you look different since you had that baby." And nothing else was said about the change of character. And I just kept working day after day. And it was a joy for me. It was an absolute joy.
I love it. I love it. And I am pretty sure if we had a lot more time, you would go into even more detail about things that were going, but you know, we're going to keep the flow moving. So thank you so much.
Well, I didn't know
blessed
what
us.
was going on before that. So they never discussed it and I didn't ask. So
I got it. I got it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's important for us to think about why we're even here today. And when I say here today, we have 3 Black women from the entertainment industry. And if you ask me, this next young lady who I'm getting ready to ask a question to, I'm trying to figure out how did this happen? Because, and I'm talking to you, Queen Felicia, I'm talking to you right now because you came at a time, you created that show, the Soul Food series at a time where there weren't a lot of women behind the scenes making moves, especially Black women. So how did that happen? Like, take us through that, please.
Sure. I first have to say, like, I didn't even know that I was in the house with 2 sorors. I didn't even know that. So I'm like beyond excited for that. I should have done my research because that just makes me so happy. And I've had the pleasure, you know, I was on Sister and the last season of Fresh Prince. So I work with Queen Daphne and her husband. So I've had a wonderful career, you know, and crossing the paths of those kind of people when I was, you know, so young and starting out. It really shows you like how you're supposed to carry yourself. Nobody has carried themselves with more elegance and professionalism than I've seen both from Queen Daphne and from her husband, Tim. And seeing that as a kid, really, it was just like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to roll. So I just wanted to say that. And, but you know what? Women were not as rare in comedy. And that's where I started, you know, on shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Moesha and shows like that. So it was just in making the transition, you know, so much of what has happened, you know, God has just ordered my steps is mostly what I can tell you, because I had, after writing sitcoms for years, decided that I needed a change. And I'm a big believer in then what do you do to recreate yourself? And so every so often I feel that need, and I think is probably the secret to my longevity anyway, is being willing to do whatever I needed to recreate myself. So I went back to school and got an MFA at UCLA and wrote a script, like with just what you're there to do. I'd never written a feature film, and I wrote my first one, and it was a family drama loosely based on my own crazy family. So, and it won the screenwriting contest at the exact same time that Showtime was looking for a writer to adapt George Tillman's beautiful film into a TV series. And had I not gone back to school, had I not written that and just come to the table going, ooh, put me up for that job, agent, they would have been like, you're a sitcom writer, what are you talking about? But I had the goods. I had this script that was a family drama. So by the time I went to Paramount, you know, I was put up for the job and went to Paramount. to meet, what they said to me is, oh, you know what, there's a sitcom writer named Felicia Henderson too. And I was like, I might know her. So that's really how it started for me. And I have to give all props to, you know, one of my oldest, dearest friends, Rose Catherine Pinckney, who was the, you know, I knew on the comedy side, who put me up for it. Because she knew that my goal was to, you know, to transition to drama. And then to the president of Showtime, Jerry Offsay, who took a chance on the sitcom girl. You know, I went to that meeting and he said, tell me why I should hire you. I love everything you said. And I was like, well, this is a show about 3 sisters and I'm one of 6 girls, so I will never run out of material. And he was like, that kind of makes sense. So I had the script and I had the, you know, sort of life background, and then got the opportunity. It was like they took a big chance. I'd never written a drama. And so not only do I get to write one, I get to create it and I get to be the showrunner of it. So they took a big chance on me, and just the way I'm built, I do more to succeed if you take a chance on me than if I just, you know, come to the table on my own. So I was not going to let anyone down.
Excellent.
And you did not let anybody down. Let me tell you. 'Cause I can go and watch that now and be tuned in like, oh, you know, so thank you so much.
That's
for that.
very kind. Thank you, Dr. Joe.
So we're in this year, which has been very interesting. And I would argue that we're in a year of 3 pandemics: a racial pandemic, a health pandemic, and some would say the election pandemic. And I'm interested, Dr. Robin, with everything going on. We just had an opportunity to hear a little bit of you all's backgrounds, but with everything going on, Dr. Robin, what are some things that people are dealing with right now when it comes to mental health? What are some things that they're probably struggling with? What are they dealing with? But what are some things that they're trying to figure out? How do I get myself through everything?
You know, this is Dr. Joe, and as I'm listening to the Queen Daphne and Queen Felicia, I'm so inspired, and I mean that really from my heart and soul, because part of what we're seeing in these pandemics is despair. And if you listen to what both Sister Daphne and Sister Felicia said, they talked about the preparation of their minds. And that is essential. I mean, even this 8th annual Capital City Black Film Festival, usually Austin, Texas, and now it's virtual, so people are all over. I'm in Philly right now. But one of the things that we need to really understand is that the battle is lost or won in your mind. That's where the shackles really are. They're in our minds. And so if our relationships are a mess, they became messy first in our minds. Had Daphne or Felicia not been, and myself, I mean, we've each had our own stories of tragedy and triumph, but had we not been able to learn when things didn't go necessarily the way we wanted them to go, if we weren't preparing ourselves for more. Felicia said her steps have been ordered by God, and I certainly claim that for my life as well. I also would say that our missteps, if we allow them, are also ordered. We can be in a messy, unprepared moment like COVID, and certainly like 400 plus years of systemic racism and the hatred of Black and brown people. But if that becomes my, the thing that I buy into, I always tell people that we have to starve the lie and feed the truth. And so if we think about what people are facing right now, a lot of what is happening and what people are struggling with is their lack of control, how they feel full of despair. And also, I believe personally that being quarantined, and I don't mean just physically quarantined, but there's a spiritual gift in this moment where we have been stripped of a lot of the things that distracted us, wasteful relationships that weren't working anyway. And so now we are having to look at our money or our lack of money, our work or our lack of work, the friends who we thought would be there for us, but then we learned maybe they're not. We all have a family, and we all have crazy in our family, but that also means that crazy has shown up in us. And so part of what these pandemics are doing, they're uncovering what needs to be healed. I mean, that's what this film festival, the theme is Black Minds Matter. Black minds matter. So we're talking about, and the theme is also about a breakthrough. So how do we get a breakthrough if we can't even admit that we're stuck?
Mm. Mm.
How can I get free if I can't own that I'm in bondage? Because the only way out of something that has us imprisoned is ownership.
You just said preaching.
COVID is also a great time to self-reflect. That's what I have found in this time. It's a time where you don't have the distractions of just flitting about and doing things just to be moving. Mm-hmm. You have time to sit and wonder what you can create. And when you start wondering what you can create and the gifts that God has given you, and you start expressing that with some sort of purpose, you can get through the pandemic, figuring out how to get through the pandemic. Mm-hmm. It is in your mind, Doctor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is, as I'm listening to you, Dr. Robin, and you, Miss Daphne, like I'm just thinking about how many individuals are so stuck here, right? They're so stuck here that they continue to operate in chaos because that's what they're used to, right? And so when I as I'm listening, I have to ask this: as women in this industry, I am pretty sure that there's been some chaotic moments, or there's been times where you had to really make a decision and say, you know what, I'm going to choose me and my peace and my happiness and my mental health first. So can you share a time, either of you, when you had to say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with what's going on here. I'm going to make sure that I'm okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can think of one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can think of one because it was recent, because it was at the beginning of the pandemic, when I had to make a decision about a deal, and my manager, who's like my brother, he's been my manager for like 13 years, so he loves me. And so when I, on this side of a fresh round of murders of Black and brown men and women, I was changed. It's not like I didn't know about the 400 years that Dr. Sora Robin talked about, but it hit you anew, and it changed me between that. And I don't know if you guys know about Girl Trek, but I started listening and walking, the walking meditation, those two things together. That walking meditation saved me during that time because it was so overwhelming. But I had this opportunity where my manager was like, I'm afraid if you walk away from that thing, how are you going to pay your mortgage? And you have so many family responsibilities. But on this side of it, it really was, and I don't think I'd ever done this. And I always thought I had a strong sense of self. But what it helped me to see is how my sense of taking care of those I loved was stronger than my sense of self, if you will. And it was the first time, that I felt I put myself first when, he's like, I'm worried. And if you do that, and I said, so he wanted me to take a deal, and that was less than that. They were trying to cut my money because we're in the middle of COVID, and this big giant studio, we don't have the money anymore that we did, while they continue to make billions of dollars in profit, even in COVID, by the way. And I finally said to my beloved Daryl Taja, my manager, if I take that deal and, you know, George Floyd, all of them are fresh in my head, then I am saying I value me as little as you value me. And so I'm going to have to step out on faith and believe I will not starve, nor will my family, because I'm tired of trying to get along, you know, go along to get along. I'm tired of mainstream, you know, Hollywood determining my value. And so when I say I'll take that deal that is not what my worth is, I'm saying I continue to participate in how you devalue me. So I am effing walking away.
Mm.
I had never done that before.
Mm.
I'd never done that before.
Mm.
I can literally feel, I can feel that. So one, thank you for sharing. I can feel that. And I know Queen Daphne, you were about to say something as well. Please share, please.
No, I was just going to say, when I first started in this business, I was married to my son's father, and it was not working out. And it was in Chicago. And I had an opportunity to come to Los Angeles. And I said, I have to go for me. And you are very safe here with your father. I left my son and I left my now ex-husband, and I went out to California on faith. And I knew that I was prepared to do what I needed to do to make me happy, to make me fulfilled. And it turned out to be a lifetime of joy and prosperity. And the love of my son did not diminish because I took that space from him. I later brought him back out to Los Angeles with me, and we have lost his father. But my life could have been totally different had I not finally decided I have to do me at this moment. And that was a good choice. Sometimes it's not a good choice, but for me, it was a good choice, and it was a very difficult one.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just.
Dr. Robin, really quick, I was just going to say, I need to hear from you about a time, because this is powerful for not only me as a man to hear, but women in this industry, just people need to hear this. So I want to hear from you the same question, because I know that there was some times where you had to choose yourself, even though you do this work, but I please share with us, please.
Absolutely. And by the way, this is how we get free. We tell the truth, and then somebody else tells the truth, and then someone else tells the truth. And all of a sudden, those shackles of shame, those narratives that are full of lies, are no longer driving our lives. So this is what, I mean, there are too many stories that I know we all have, but the story that came to mind for me was being told, because, you know, I'm a psychologist, but I'm also an on-air television person. So I've done TV pilots. And of course, I was the on-air therapist, as you said, for the Oprah Winfrey Show. And I had a 5-day-a-week radio show on XM Sirius on the Oprah radio channel. So I've done, you know, pilots for ABC so I was asked to come and do a pilot for one of the big networks. And they said, we love your work. And then I started getting emails that they wanted me to dress like Mrs. Obama. They wanted me to wear this color. And they said, well, she looks great in yellow. I said, right, because she's this gorgeous brown skinned Black woman. You don't want me in yellow. They said, no, we do want you in yellow. I said, you don't want me in yellow. So, but what the real challenge is I needed to work. I was taking care of myself, my mother, financially. I had been in a terrible car accident. And the issue was, would I sell my soul for the illusion of money? Because it doesn't mean that even when you make the deal with the devil, that you actually get what it is you thought you would get in the first place. And so I had to make a very difficult choice that people thought was crazy around television and also around a literary deal where I was offered a lot of money to write anything. But what I learned, so I turned them both down, and it was terrifying. It was terrifying to not know what was going to happen. But I will tell you this, in the midst of, wondering how provision was going to come, never did I feel that I had made the wrong decision. So even when I wasn't sure how my oil bill was going to get paid, and I have a big oil tank and I'm in Philadelphia, even then, it was very clear to me that the selling of my soul would have been the worst decision ever. Because, and this is the thing I want to say, not just about those of us who are here, but everyone who is listening and watching, that, we get upset about being cheated on, betrayed, and all of that is serious. I mean, if you've, been betrayed, or you betrayed someone, it's bad. But the betrayal that we cannot overcome is when we cheat and betray the self. And so as, Sister Daphne is talking about making, and as a Black women don't leave their children, or maybe they do leave for a purpose to return whole and free. Because who would you be, Queen Daphne? Who would you be? Not what would have happened, not what would have gone with your career, but had you made everyone more important? And Felicia, you and Dr. Robin, me, and every other woman and man who is listening, if we make that deal, and I mean our parents, my mother just died 6 months ago. She was vibrant and incredible, and 98 and a soarer, by the way, 98 years old, still living in her house in her right mind. That's a whole other story, but tremendous. But I say this because if we make decisions to care for anyone more than we are caring for the self, ultimately, at the end of the day, it will backfire.
And
You
one
will
phrase,
have resentment, you will have remorse,
right.
You will have bitterness, you will have blame, as if someone put a gun to your head. And maybe because of the carrying the Black woman card, we think to be a good Black woman and a good Black daughter and a good Black mother, that we have to wear this badge of nothingness as the entry in. And so I really want for us, as we're talking about Black Minds Matter, that we would recognize today that there are 3 Black women, grown Black women sitting here today, talking about making very unpopular decisions that paid off.
Yes, and I learned a phrase early in my career, and if you think about it, ponder it for yourself, but some money costs too much. So think about that when you have decisions to make.
Preach.
Some money costs too much. You hurt my feelings right now, but that is real. That is
real.
Y'all are tapping some souls right now. We're doing some soul talk right now. You talk about soul food series. We're doing some soul talk right now. So thank you. So let me ask you this, because you talked about having to make decisions that have to deal with yourself. And I've coached some women, and the first thing that I always share with them is that I don't have the experience of a woman. I don't know what it means to be a woman. So I want to make sure that's clear. But I did recognize that so many women, they would put everybody else, their children, their partners, everything else first before themselves. And there was this conflict and frustration. So it sounds like there's a level of reconditioning or reprogramming that needs to happen. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes.
We were raised as caregivers. We have raised this country from when we got here.
Hmm.
This country is built on the strength and survival skills of women.
Yes.
And this is in our blood. But we have to recognize that we cannot keep giving away all of our energy without renewing ourselves and making sure that the root of the tree is stable. And that's us. We have to remain strong before we can help anybody else. What can we do if we're in a weak position? We can't help you. And if that's our journey, then we must remain strong. So we have to practice self-care, self-concern, but we could do it in a way where it doesn't diminish the care that we give to you.
Yeah.
I will admit, the first people that I would call when I had a situation in my life was my mama and my grandma.
Yep.
All the time. And so the power of women, the power of Black women, the necessity of you all is so critical. So we have to honor, I always say respect where you are, but honor where you are going. We have to honor the direction that you all need to go. And that is putting yourself first. If you ask me, I hope I can get your blessing saying that, right? I'm listening to you all. So I want to go to some of the shows, because whether it was Fresh Prince or the Soul Food series, and I want to start with the Soul Food series, that series addressed a lot. It was heavy. It was deep. A lot of us could relate. And so creating a show like that during a time where there were a lot of comedies or not shows like that for people that look like us, what was the mindset of creating this storyline about whatever it is that was those serious topics?
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's so funny how I think it's, just philosophically, just, how I roll, because I'm now, by the way, having left that bad situation, I just started a new job where I am happy, respected, paid as the showrunner of a new show on Netflix called First Kill. And it's a show about a vampire and a vampire hunter falling in love. And so, and we're dealing with this, believe it or not, because it is also two lesbian young women. And so what we're dealing with is all of that means for for that community, and how difficult, because it hasn't been on TV before, where that's just treated as, the norm. So the show has the responsibility and pressure of everybody has a lot of opinions, because they think it needs to be everything to all people, or there's going to be backlash. And if we don't, and it reminded me, believe it or not, we had that conversation this week, beginning of this week, and it reminded me of Soul Food, because part of the big challenge was we haven't had a successful Black drama yet. There've been Black dramas, but in terms of a successful one that went on for multiple seasons. And so that pressure, we've never had this thing successful of people who look like us. Everyone has to be, perfect and kind. And I, embraced early on, just like I'm doing with this new show, I don't have any intentions of trying to be everything to everyone. Black folks are not monolithic. This is a specific family, the Joseph family of Chicago. And so the experience is the experience of that family. The specificity is the experience of that family. And by being specific, then we're inviting everyone else in to go, oh, you know what, that thing is universal. I do know that. And I wanted also Black characters that have the same freedom that non-Black characters have, to be screw ups, to make bad decisions, to be complex and complicated, and to not depict the village of the happy people. I wanted our characters to be as three-dimensional as non-Black characters. So that means you have to give them something, good drama is good conflict. Good conflict is good drama. So, but that was controversial. Oh my God, you're gonna have a drug dealer? I'm like, yes, in the same show where I have a lawyer who's a partner at a law firm. That looks like my family, by the way. You have me and my family and my 4 degrees, and my brother who used to be a gangbanger and drug dealer. I turned him around, by the way. But, but that's all, and that's how you know, and it's not just Black families, but that's how Black families are. We got a little bit of everything in all families. All families have the crazy uncle, all families have. So I had no intentions of trying to hide all parts of who we are. And I come to it proudly because I believe, and I have a lot of debate about this with one of my best friends who is a very successful writer, director, Gina Prince Bythewood. We have a lot of debate about this idea that she's like, we should depict the world as we want it to be. And for me, I'm like, my brother who went through all that has just as much right to be depicted and all his frailties and all of his layers as a guy who's, you know, I want you to understand why this young Black man would choose, you know, being a gangbanger and selling drugs and living that life and dropping out of high school. Like, I want you to understand, it's as important to me that you understand him as it is that you understand the woman who had it all and was smart since she was a little kid, and everybody was invested in her since she was little because she was smart and did what she was told. His journey is as important to understand my people as the successful person's journey is. Sorry, that's a long answer.
No, and Dr. I just want to say, and Felicia, thank you so much for sharing that, because part of what has happened with me professionally as well is this narrative that Black people don't want to watch television or streaming or whatever it is now that we're doing that is robust, not intellectual necessarily, but robust in its content, that we would rather watch the drama of chairs being thrown and someone cursing someone out, and not that there is not room for that, but this is a piece of where slavery continues to be reenacted to make whoever the decision makers are, which are usually, not always, but usually white people and white men who are making a decision that Black people only want to eat garbage. Instead of, we eat, if we're hungry, whatever is served up. Because at some point, if I'm hungry enough, I'm just going to watch whatever is on. I'm going to be distracted by whatever is on. So I really want to lift up how important it is what you're saying, but that we in this venue where we're talking about creative, you know, people who are watching and listening, that we destroy this lie that we as Black people do not care about our minds, our relationships, our bodies, our health. We just have been so thrown under the bus. And so I just appreciate your saying that, because it's important as we're gathering here that we own that that is not true.
Yes.
They used to portray Black people on television as one certain kind of people.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of working on a show that my husband helped create called Frank's Place.
I remember.
So different. It was so different from everything that was on television that we got, oh, this is unique, but we got a lot of blowback from folks. Oh, well, it's a half hour. Why don't you have a laugh track on it? Because we think people are smart enough to know when they feel like laughing. We don't have to program that in. And we got to talk about a community of people that were so diverse and came from so many different upbringings. And we got to show that there are a whole lot of different kind of Black people in the world, even in New Orleans, just New Orleans. There's a diversity of Black culture that needs to be expressed. We are not all living in the projects. We are not all living in Bel Air. We are living our lives as they come to us. And we have a rich culture of tradition and ways of doing things and the way we share with each other. And our traditions are very, very strong in the Black community, and they're worth preserving and expressing and showing. And other folk, those other folk need to be able to see that there is a diversity in our community that is wide as the diversity in their community.
That show was ahead of its time, I have to say. On my academic side, I have written about that show. I worship Dr. Herman Gray, who has written extensively about that show. It was ahead of its time, not for those of us who were already hungry, but can you imagine, like that show today, it should be on today. And this is the environment, you know, now we see half-hour dramedies all the time, but when you're a visionary, you're often ahead of that curve and people don't get it. But I worship that show.
We've had a lot of support in the Black community. I mean, CBS was stunned by the community support when they canceled us. So they gave us another show called Snoops, but we knew it was a buyout. So as they say, we took the money and run. Another fun show that we shot. But Frank's Place is always the heart of the best TV that I've ever participated in.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'm gonna have to go and watch it. It rings a bell, but I don't remember specifically, so I will go check that out. Thank you for sharing that. Now I'm looking at time, so I wanna make sure we honor time. But I want to ask this as we get ready to close out in a few. Something very special happened this year amongst everything that's been going on. Something very special, and that was the 30th year anniversary of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I watched it, and woo, you talk about, I'm over there like, all right, let me be tough. Let me not, but it hit so many, I laughed, some tears, like it made me feel so good. And one particular part where the first Aunt Viv and Will Smith had that dialogue, and it was about healing, and we're here having this dialogue. So Queen Daphne, what was that like to experience healing? Did you know it would be healing for other people? But I just feel like, once again, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air tapped right into culture building.
There had been so much yada, 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 yada on social media.
Yeah.
I had never met Janet. So I had nothing to do with any of the controversy that Will or everybody had on the show. I knew nothing about it. When I got there, they didn't talk about it. If I even asked, so what happens? We don't talk about it. Okay, I let it go. They asked me, would I be comfortable if she was going to be at the reunion? I'm saying, what? My comfort has nothing to do with it. I have no reason to not be comfortable. Yeah. Please. And they had that reunion. He filmed the chat with her before the reunion. So while we were having the reunion, that was our first glimpse, and he only showed us a clip of the reunion. But then the following day that we were taping the reunion, she came to the set, and the whole cast had their warm hugs. I felt like I needed to move and give her the space that she needed on that couch as a family reunion. And Will said, no, you're both here. And I thought that was very strong of him. Yeah. And when I finally got to meet her, all I wanted to tell her was welcome home. And that's what I told her. And we really met for the first time and embraced each other for whatever we were able to give to that show. One had nothing to do with the other, and what they were doing on social media had nothing to do with either one of us. Yeah. So I think social media finally stopped with the light skin and the dark skin. This story has been going on since slavery time. I am so sick of it. I have been not Black enough and too Black, all in my life. So it's just ridiculous. We just need to get past that. We are a conglomeration of who we were born from. Period. I ain't worried about what color it comes in, caramel or mahogany or cafe au lait. It's all a rich tradition of Black folk.
Wow. I love it. What, the energy that I get from you is like, hey, if it ain't my business, I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm gonna keep living my life. I love that about you. I love that about you. But Dr. Robin, as we and after this, I just want to give you all an opportunity to, just drop one last jewel or one last, oomph on our viewers. But Dr. Robin, with that said, the 30th anniversary of Fresh Prince happened. and that healing piece happen. Talk about why it's so important for us to get into our process of whatever healing we need to do.
Yeah, and I said to Queen Daphne a couple of days earlier this week when we were meeting about today, that I think sometimes, and Daphne, you know, I think this, because you are comfortable in your skin, you don't always, and I just met you myself earlier this week, but I don't know that you recognize how big your generosity and spirit is. So that when you welcomed Janet and you said, you know, this is about both of us, that kind of healing, Dr. Joe, is so important, because what we see in our homes, what we see in our families is division. We don't see that moment of repair. And to me, what the Fresh Prince and the reunion really showed in real time, not the show, but real people who had real feelings, who had real struggles, that if we don't face something, we can't fix it. And if we can't feel it, we can't face it. And so it felt like this moment created an opportunity for people to come together in real ways, not the, you know, I'll move over, but I'm talking about you, you know, underneath my breath, but there's room for all of us at the table. And a piece of racism, Dr. Joe, is this fear that there's not enough room around the table for all of us to shine. We are terrified that somehow someone else's shine is going to diminish mine. And we don't, and that, again, that's systemic racism. And so the healing, and that's why it's in our minds, because if I believe that, then I'm going to be competitive. It means that when I hear about a good opportunity for someone, I'm not going to share it, because I'm so afraid that if you get it, then, okay, that's one more Black person on television. That's one more Black woman here. So if she's there, then there's no room for me. I personally believe that our gift always makes room for us.
That's right. That's
It
right.
always makes room for us.
Yes.
And so I think that this example that we're seeing even right now with the three of us and you is really an invitation for everyone who is watching and listening to own the places in their own hearts that are insecure. Don't pretend that you feel good. Don't pretend that you're not jealous. Don't pretend that you're okay. This is an opportunity to say, where am I stuck? You know, Daphne said that the virus, it gave us an opportunity to stop wasting our time on things that we can't control. The best thing we could do, each of us, is don't worry about what somebody else is doing, whether they're dealing with their issues.
Yep.
Ask your own heart, what is it that I need to face? What is it that I'm running from? What is it that runs in my family that, you know, is plaguing me? Not worrying about my girlfriend or my husband or my, but it's kind of, it's me, oh Lord, who is standing in the need of awakening and deliverance and clarity. Not my mother, not my father, not my brother or sister, but it's me who needs it. And so I hope we will ask, what is it that I need to excavate to be free?
You got time now.
Listen, y'all. I'm trying to respect time, and I'm just going to go around real quick. One, I really appreciate you, but just give me one word on how you're feeling after having this dialogue about mental health and healing. One word. Queen Felicia, how you feeling?
Well, like James Brown said, I feel good. I knew that I knew that I would.
I love it. I
just feel very blessed to be here in the presence of, you know, you, Dr. Joe, and these incredibly powerful women you know, that I can just in this amount of time learn from, just in this amount of time go away and do some work on myself that does then affect the work that I do on the page, you know, and the kind of characters I create and my responsibility in my content creation. I hope that there is somebody, you know, listening or watching who gets free, who sees, hears this and wants to do the work necessary that I had to get to my 50s to do, which is finally putting myself first. There are lots of folks in my life right now who are not recognizing me, and it is a beautiful thing. So I just, again, to my sorors and to you, thank you for allowing me to be part of this. Thank you, Desiree, very much for inviting me to be a part of this.
Thank you so much. Queen Daphne, one word, how you feeling?
Well, it's not going to be one word, but Keisha, we are so proud of you. And after having worked with you that many years ago,
yes,
rise in your position is the warmth of my heart that I've always wanted in this business. We were able to get people started from the power that we had at the time. And we are so happy that you are continuing to grow. Bring somebody with you. Bring several people with you, because that's the only way we're going to get
always
to the green light situation that we need to make the stories that we want to make. And for the general public, I'm going to say something that my husband taught me many years ago. It says, don't let the successes go to your head and don't let the failures go to your heart. Get up, keep moving.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Dr. Robin, close us out. We have about 30 seconds.
All right, free. Free. And I don't know if you know, and I'll do it in 30 seconds, the poem, it's called Love After Love. It says, the time will come with great elation. You will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, who you ignored for another. Take down the photographs from the bookshelf, the desperate notes, and peel your own image from the mirror. Sit and feast on your life. It's incredible to love again the stranger who was yourself.
Deep, deep. Listen, thank you all so much. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to anybody who gets to watch the replay. Listen, I hope you know that a lot of us are still recovering from our childhoods. And like I always say, hey, we are a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I'm Dr. Joe Johnson. Thank you so much for watching us and our dialogue on mental health. And we hope to see you soon. Take care.
Happy holidays.
happy holidays, everybody.